Hi everyone, welcome to part 6 of the Lewis Hamilton Time Trial Challenge. And in this part we're going to be focusing on the Nürburgring GP circuit. Once again with the AMG GT3, a very nice track, very technical, and it's hard to get it all right in a single go. So it's going to be quite a challenge for sure. But it being one of the more famous tracks in the world, we're going to give it our best and see how we go. So, campaign, Lewis Hamilton Time Trial Challenge. There is the Maestro, so we're going to go ahead, select the Nürburgring GP, and we're going to see what Lewis has to say about it.
The Nürburgring GP circuit is my second favorite in Germany. We also have the Hockenheim Grand Prix, but honestly, the Nürburgring circuit is just a little bit more fun. It's got more corners, it's longer, it's got a great combination of fast-flowing corners as well. And I love a track that has a lot of the undulation. So, you know, you're breaking down into turn 1, you're up into turn 2, you're down back into turn 3, and then when you go down to turn 6, you're downhill, then you're uphill up into 7 and 8. And this one's really about heavy braking. It's about you know, making sure you're getting those exits. The first corner is obviously, I think, quite tough, and but the minimum speed you carry through there and getting on the power up into 2 is probably one of the toughest parts of the circuit. Also, hugging the apex at turn 3, for example, is always quicker, and getting back to the left for the turn 4 so you can carry lots of speed through 4. I could keep going on, but I'm going to leave you to go and enjoy it. But this is a track that I really do love, and I've had some crazy experiences here where it rained when I was in Formula 3, but also when I was in Formula 1 in think it was 2007, 2008, where it rained heavily, and also I had a big crash here. So go and enjoy it, and make sure this is a track you just got to practice and practice and practice to get the right lines.
So there you go, those are words from the Maestro on the Nürburgring GP circuit. So we're going to go ahead inside and see how he approaches the lap, do an in-depth analysis, and then try and beat his time and possibly get onto the top 10 leaderboard as well. It's just loading up the track. Give it a bit more time, and there we go. Traction control to 3, and now we're going to play Lewis's lap without any distractions, without any commentary, so you guys can have a look at it in full, with telemetry on, and from the head cam view. There we go, that was Lewis's lap. I'm going to have a closer look at it and see what he does to get the right lines. It's a good time we did. So coming into turn 1, we're going to play it in one flowing motion, of course, like we always have previous parts till now. Okay, so this first corner, very crucial. Needs to time the braking just right. So Lewis starts braking before this change in surfaces. You can see it's got a bit more of the sun reflecting off of it, and you can see these two different surfaces very obviously in all the different time conditions. So that's where you want to look out. If you can get your front left tire to be close to that and start braking, that's basically perfect. That's where you want to start braking coming into turn 1. So you want to make sure that you have your car towards the left so you can have a wider entry. You can see Lewis, he's taking a bit more of a straight line, and then that's generally what you want to do. Then just slightly veer to the left, making sure that your left tires are going very close but not on the curb, because if you're braking on the curb coming down to turn 1, it's going to throw the car off balance. You're just going to extend your braking zone, and it's not going to be very efficient when it comes to making a lap around here. As you can see, he's still holding to the left. He's got pretty much full brake input, and the moment he starts turning in, you can see the right input there on his wheel, he's taking off the brake a bit more. You see, it's not like previous laps on other circuits that we've been to. Here, he's characteristically holding a bit more on the brake while he's trail braking in that case. And you can see only when he's really going closer towards the apex, that's when he starts taking it off a bit more, or quite significantly. Also, you want to change down through the gears very slowly. You want to stay in high gears as much as you can. But obviously coming into the hairpin here, that is the first corner, you want to go into first, if only slightly. And then the moment you clear the apex, you want to be off the brakes, like Lewis is. Have your foot on the throttle a little bit. And now, coming on the exit, this is basically personal preference. You can change into second gear early and push out with a bit more traction, or you can stay in first. The choice is yours. I personally prefer changing into second earlier because, like I said, it just gives you so much more traction that you can put your trust in, and it means that you're going to be able to get out of the turn without actually putting too much effort into it. As you can see, after you passed the apex, you took the brake off, you finished trail braking, you applied the acceleration, and you pushed out on the exit. The most that you would be able to go on the left with your left tires and not lose any grip would be on this kind of concrete tile pattern, somewhere in line with the curb. If you go further wide there, you're risking spinning out. But yeah, basically try and follow Lewis's line through here. It's a very good, neat, tidy line that's considerably fast. It's coming into the Mercedes-Benz arena. We're going to go through this in one big try. Turn 3, coming into turn 4. So, coming out of turn 1, you want to try and go as much as you can to the right. You see where the cursor is. You want to start aiming to be a bit more to the right of the road, not quite in the middle, but a bit more to the right, so that you can get a better entry coming into 2. You can see you want to have a very early turn in, apologies. You can see the moment you hit that small crest or the upwards hill, that's when you take off in second. In Lewis's case, it would be second, and you're just holding on for dear life making sure that you don't go wide here. You can use a bit of the inside gravel, or grass in this case, I'm not quite sure which it is. You won't lose much, but as a rule of thumb, you want to keep your left tires right here on the edge of the curb. If you go any more on the inside, it will still hold you in. You won't throw the car too far off once you get back on track, but better be safe than sorry. Just stay on the curbs. See here, he started braking on the crest. He took off, then he started braking after the crest. And the moment he touched the apex, which is fairly early, he took off the brake. And you can see he's just letting it roll through the corner in second. You don't want to be too eager on the acceleration, and if you are, it's a good chance you're just going to go off wide. And there is very little abundance of grip on that part of the circuit. As you can see, the further he goes wide, the wider he goes on the exit of 2, the more confidence he's putting in the acceleration. And you can see he's just slowly creeping on that acceleration and steadily improving his input. So the moment you're able to manage to hold the car on the inside of the track here, coming on the exit, that's when you want to put your foot down, like where the AstroTurf on the right starts, somewhere around here. That's when you're pretty sure that you can go full throttle without a problem. Hi Andrew, welcome back. Yeah, so push out here. You can, a lot of top players in Gran Turismo Sport, and I'll say probably in some other sims as well, they put the car as much as they can to the right so that they can maximize their entry. So instead of having the left tires on the track here, they'll have their left tires on the curb, and their right tires will still be here on the AstroTurf, but you don't lose too much grip because the car is still technically on the track. So maybe going a bit wide, not too wide, but just enough so that you're carrying a lot more speed. It's coming into 3. Lewis changes into 3rd, and you want to start braking about 2 car lengths before the end of the green AstroTurf on the right with the AMG. That's a good reference, and I think it's a very sharp stab of the brakes on the approach in the corner, but you can see Lewis, he doesn't go with a full input. He's being very gentle with the car, doing a lot of trail braking. Like he said in his driving tips, it's important to hold the inside here on the left. So you can see how the Maestro has gotten it, but notice how his right tires are still about a quarter of a car length off of the curb. If you want to shorten the distance or shorten the line, you can use those outside right tires and go on the curb. Even here on the asphalt, or this pattern of tiles placed in the ground, really doesn't take too much grip off of the wheels when the tires are making contact with the track. So you're more than welcome to cut, but make sure that you don't cut too much, because that way you could really compromise your exit and therefore your entry into turn 4, or you could end up getting a penalty. As you can see here, you really need to hold the inside. Take off the throttle if you have to, but it's good to keep the engine engaged at the same time, so maybe just a really small bit of input just to have the motor ready, the engine ready, and so you can push out. As soon as you straighten up and you get off the curb, you stop seeing the curb on the left side, that's when you can start accelerating a bit more steadily, a bit more confidently. You can put full throttle in even. And for turn 4, which is leads onto a minor straight section of the track, you want to make sure that you maximize your entry. Maybe get it a bit wide so that you can also get a nice wide exit at the same time. But if you go too wide on the entry, you have to set that up. And having to set up the entry means that you have to go very slow out of the previous corner, which was behind us. So maybe turn in a little bit early, stay in the middle of the track, and on this part, on the apex of turn 4, you don't want to brake. You can see Lewis here, he's in second gear. Generally you want to pass by the curb, by the apex in second, and the moment you clear the curb you want to go in third. Once again, like turn 1, this provides an abundance of traction, which makes it a lot safer to accelerate out. So yeah, once you pass this apex, once again, you can put your left tires right on the curb here, right on the very edge of it. Just need to make sure that you're not going off track. Once you pass the curb, you get to somewhere about this point, you can go into third and push out. Bear in mind that on the left side of the track there's very little gravel or anything that would slow you down. So you can go wider off there, a bit wider than Lewis has, but you need to make sure that coming back onto the track here on the left, you don't use any of this gravel, dirt, grass, because that's going to make your tires dirty, and it's not the tires are not going to be cleaned up by the time you get to that next corner. So you're coming into 5 and 6. Coming into 5, your braking point needs to be somewhere on this on this escape road, or the part of the track that would be in the Type V section of the Nürburgring. I think the DTM cars race there. But generally you want to brake somewhere towards the end of that escape road. Ideally, if you could manage it, maybe brake even with the front tires almost hitting this kind of white line that separates the track into 2 different pieces. Sorry about that, yep, there we go. And after that you want to hold the inside as much as you can. Also that white part, that white point that I mentioned, that's a very good reference to start turning in, if only slightly. You can see you want to be on full brake input for a while, and once you put a lot more meaningful input into the wheel to go left, that's when you want to start trail braking once again. The important thing is to make sure that once you reach the apex, you take off the brake. This is kind of already standard procedure, as you'll see on a lot of the tracks that Lewis drives on with the GT3. And you want to make sure that the left tires are not going on the grass, because if you go off just a bit wide here, you're going to lose a lot of time in 6, and that's basically a lap over in a nutshell. So in turn 5 you want to hold the inside left as much as you can. Not as much as you can, but still quite significantly. If you hold it in too much, you're going to be killing your speed. If you don't hold it in enough, you're going to veer off to the right here where there is a little bit of curb, and you're going to risk going on the grass, and it's just going to ruin your entry into 6. So don't go quite on full power. Only when you've got your car straightened up right in the middle of the track, that's when you can maybe put a bit more power on. But you see Lewis doesn't do that. He takes off fairly early. So somewhere where this red curb is on the left, where the right curb starts on the right. And you can see he didn't get it all the way from the left on the entry. That's fine. That's the compromise that you need to learn to make with the AMG on this track. And you can't always have the perfect line on through this section. So not going all the way to the left, but keeping about 4/5 of on the left side of the track, and then turning in is a good idea. Once again, a lot of trail braking. Kind of mid to late apex. He takes off the brake before he gets to the apex. And once he touches it, that's when you can see he's putting some throttle on. You see he's starting to put it on more and more confidently. And generally you want to start accelerating the moment you see this curb or this concrete or asphalt on the left, this aqua colored asphalt. That's kind of your cue that you're safe. If you've gotten the entry of the corner right, that's when you can be a lot more confident in your car and start pushing out. And you can see Lewis just floors it immediately. And yeah, definitely don't go on the gravel on the left because that's a very big speed trap. And when you touch the gravel on the left, it's going to take off a lot of speed, and you're not going to be going as fast as you would like to be coming into 7. So 7, this big U-turn. So 7 is an interesting corner. It's a very large U-turn. You want to start braking basically where this added section of the track is. Like, I don't know how I'd say this is like the tiled section, but without any grass on it. It's pavement, yeah, on this pavement here. So that's where you want to start braking. That's your cue. Maybe just a tiny bit before that, and that's going to set yourself up nicely. You can go on the left to maybe get a wider entry, but you're going to be left with the risk that maybe you're going to catch a bit of the grass, your rear end's going to go wide, and you're not going to be able to maximize as much as you can through this very important corner. So as soon as you start turning in, you take off the brake a bit more. Once again, a lot of trail braking, and you want to have an early apex here. As you can see, Lewis, he's still on the brakes even after he's reached the apex. You see, he starts to go a bit wide. So in this corner, there's kind of 2 apexes. You want to get that first early one and then go a little bit wide. You kind of want to V-shape the corner, basically. And you can see he's still braking, Now he takes off when he's slap bang in the middle of 7. You can see he's putting a little bit of acceleration on, keeping the engine engaged. And now he comes back in for the second apex, which is when you can start seeing the aqua green asphalt there right in front of you. So he comes back in, he cuts in, goes back onto the second apex, and after that you can really put a lot of faith in the car because the track is starting to go a bit uphill, so you can accelerate earlier. And you see, even before you've fully exited the corner, that's when you can put the car full chat and make it out. On the exit, you want your left tires to be exactly how Lewis has put them. Very surgical precision by the maestro. If you go any wider than that, you're going to go on the gravel. Once again, it's really going to kill your exit speed, and it's not going to be good for your lap time either. It's coming into 8 and 9, or the Schumacher S. The Schumacher S is an interesting one. For the first part, you want to try and go with your right tires on the curb, because that's going to angle your car. Like, your car's going to be angled to the left, and you're going to have a wider approach. But you don't want to go on this pavement on the right. You want to use the curb, and the force that you're going to exert when you start turning in is going to be put more directly down onto the track. Like the tyre's going to want to cooperate with you more, and realistically there's going to be more grip. So you can also take it on the pavement, but it's not quite as fast. So when you get off the curb, you want to take off the throttle. No brake in here. When you get onto this left pavement over the curb, still taking off. At the moment you touch this apex and you've established a firm grip on the pavement on the inside, that's when you want to put a bit more, confidence in the throttle. Start pushing out. If you do that too early, you can see right in front of us there's a big gravel trap that's going to meet us, and I don't have to say anything, you guys know it's never going to end well. So you don't want to accelerate too early, but you don't want to accelerate too late either, and you're going to lose time. On the second part of the Schumacher S, you want your right tires to be just on the edge of this asphalt, aqua green asphalt, and you don't want them to touch the inside gravel. Your outside left tires, the controller seems to be acting up, sorry about this. You want your outside tires to be right on the white line here. Don't want it to go on the curb, because considering that the car is about 2 meters wide, that ensures that at least one tire is on the gravel. So you can see he's going on a straight line. That's where you want to be. You want to be on this white line here. And pretty much flat out the second part as well. On the exit, if you felt like you've carried too much speed, feel free to use this part of the track with some asphalt. Continue along it and use this bit of pavement to get back on track. And this is perfectly normal. You'll see VLN drivers or 24-hour Nürburgring drivers do that all the time. That's just because they've gotten the Schumacher S so good that they're carrying a lot more exit speed, and they have to go slightly wider to be able to maintain that. It's coming into 9 and 10. Sorry, 10 and 11. So coming into 10, this is basically a big chicane in a sense. You want to start braking after the change in surfaces from this pavement to the track, but it looks like it would look inviting to brake on this right, but for some reason you lose a lot of grip in your right tires, and you're braking. My apologies, I'm lost for words slightly. Your braking distances will be greatly lengthened, so that's not going to be good news for the upcoming corner. So you want to keep your right tires here on the track, right on the white line if you can, and then after you've passed this patch of asphalt on the right, then you can get onto this aqua colored curb, so you can get a wider entry. And yeah, those are my 2 cents about getting this corner. Once again, a lot of trail braking. See there, Lewis veering to the right slightly, get a better entry. So he's still full on the brakes, still full. So in between that line that we just passed, this one here, on the 50-meter mark, that's when you want to start taking off the brakes, doing a bit more trail braking, and when you have some actual decent steering input added in as well. So for turn 10 on the apex, you want to have your left tires on the inside here of the green curb. Don't want to go too much on the inside, because then your right tires will also be on the curb as well, and it's a very easy way of throwing the car off balance. The moment you touch the apex, you take off the brake, start accelerating slightly, keeping the engine engaged at the same time, and using a bit of the exit here. If you've carried too much speed, a sign that you've gotten this corner wrong is if you have to use this part of the track. If you have to use this green curb. If you don't have to use that, that means that you've gotten it at just the right speed. And if you have to use this curb, that means you've gotten it just fine, and that you'll be able to put your car on the left coming into 11. You can see that Lewis, he's managed to do that perfectly. And now he's turning left to get a good entry coming into 11. So he's full on the acceleration. Yeah. He gets on the brakes the moment he reaches the left side of the track. Unlike turn 5 and 6, where he couldn't make it all the way to the left for the entry coming into 6, this is the corner where you want to be on the outside more on the entry. So you can see the moment he touches the left, that's where you want to brake. The moment when you go to the left, that's where you want to brake as well. So once again, he just dabs the brake slightly to rotate the car. You can see he's letting the car roll a bit towards the entry. And then he starts braking again. Once again, this is to get the car rotated even more, to get it right on the apex, and before he hits the apex, he takes it off again. You can see that, once again, lots of surgical precision by the maestro. His right tire is almost on the grass. It's right on the curb there. That's pretty much inch perfect. The moment you've passed that apex, you want to start putting the acceleration on again. The moment you see that green curb on the left, that's when you know that you can push out. On this exit, you want to go as wide as you can, because you're going to be able to carry more speed, but you definitely don't want to go on the gravel on the left either. And you don't want to use any of the grass here or any of the kind of dirty pavement, so you want to just stick to this clean pavement on the left, not risk too much. Make sure that you just get a nice run coming into the last chicane. So there's shallow right. It's kind of the middle of the corner is the apex. That's it. And there's nothing too special about it. You just want to really straighten the line that you have through there in order to maximize your speed and set yourself up nicely for the last chicane. You may want to go a bit more to the left on the exit than Lewis did, but that's already personal preference. So the last chicane. In the final chicane, there's a lot to be gained when you compare Lewis's line to what top GT Sport players would actually do. So you're going to see Lewis the Maestro brakes a little bit before the 100-meter mark. You can brake a tad later, somewhere around here. It's about 10 meters or so, about a car length before the 100-meter mark. You'll still be safe. So you really want to stay straight. You want to keep still braking straight, full input. There's no need to trail brake because you're still going straight. And the moment you're on the 50-meter mark or after you've passed it, that's when you want to start turning in slightly. About 10 meters after you've passed it. And you can see Lewis is doing that, but generally top GT Sport players will actually turn in earlier. See, he's going to the left, and his left tire is going right on the curb. See, just before he hits the apex, he takes the brake off.
Show how much you can go more in.
Yeah. You see where the right tires are within the track, the left tire is just about to go on the curb. However, this is the biggest place where you can gain time in terms of Lewis. Generally, or basically, you can put your right side of the car, you can put it on this green curb here. If you can get your right tires on this part of the curb,
touching the white.
but still touching this white bit, you're still on the track. Your left tires will be on the grass, yes. You may lose a little bit of grip, yes, but the amount of track that you're going to be cutting, the amount of time that you're going to gain is just too much to not do. The car will be leaning on the right side, so there's less contact with the grass, but there's more contact with the road. So it's not going to ruin your left tires that much, but it's still going to do something. And the same for this part. You can see where this orange bollard is here, the very thin one. Lewis doesn't touch that. That's how people would get in real life. But you can actually go with your left tires once again, with your outside tires. You can go on the edge of this white curb, and it will consider that you're still on track. If you can make sure to pass through this bollard without wasting any time, have your left tires here on the track. Once again, you're cutting a lot more, and you're really straightening your line up, so you can accelerate earlier than Lewis does here. And you can see he just misses it with his car, but you want to go over that bollard basically. And because of the straighter line exit, you'd be able to accelerate a bit earlier than Lewis does here. You can see it takes him a while to get him to full input. He's already past the apex, long past it by now, and he still hasn't accelerated all the way. So as soon as he gets his car towards the left and he's almost on the curb, that's when he starts putting full acceleration. You would want to put it like I would recommend, if you cut it properly, you're going to want to put full acceleration the moment this curb ends. That's how much more time you're going to be gaining. Or even when this curb ends here, that's when you're going to be able to push a lot earlier. You see here on the exit, you don't want to go too wide, because the grass is going to meet you there. And obviously it's very easy to spin out on this part of the track. So the most you would be able to go with your left tires is on this really small gutter. You can see that's the maximum. You can see there's a bit of this how you call it, tiles. These tiles here, that offers grip, but it just immediately ends. Pavers. So it immediately ends right there, and your outside tires are going to be met with the grass. And since there's more pressure on the outside tires, it's going to be more grip that you're going to have to require from them. And it's the same as grass. The moment you get on the grass, you're not going to have any grip whatsoever. So it's going to be easy to spin out. It's coming into the last corner. Into the last corner. Lewis gets a very ordinary entry. Generally you want your car to be up on the curb. Previously you want to be driving after you exit out of the final chicane. As soon as that curb's, this extra piece of asphalt starts, or the pavement, you want to get your left side of the car up onto this, and you just want to follow that line as much as you can without going on the grass on the left. And Lewis brakes like this is pretty much a trial and error part of the track. You can't judge exactly where you would want to brake, but something like 5 car lengths, 6 car lengths before the inside, that's when you want to do braking, and you want to do it on this part of the track because it's basically just a wider extension of the circuit, and it's going to allow you to get a much better entry. And it's still uphill as well, so you can brake later at the same time. As you can see, Lewis gets on the brakes. The moment he gets away from that curb, he will take off the input. And it's kind of a mid apex on this corner. You want to hold the inside right after you've reached the apex. That's why you kind of hook it from the out and slowly close in towards the inside of the corner. See, before he gets to the apex, he's taken off the brake and he's accelerating slightly. You don't want to cut in too much on the right because you're going to meet that very, very sturdy inside tire barrier, and that's going to be the end of your lap, most likely. So you want to hold it in even more than Lewis is at this time. You want to start progressively putting the acceleration on the further you go past the pit entry. And the moment you get up by these curbs on the right, that's kind of your cue that you can start accelerating, putting a lot more trust into the car and really going for it. You can see here, Lewis was a bit kind towards the car and towards the track limits. He wasn't going as wide as you would want to, but generally you want to go somewhere around here on the outside left with your outside tires, because there's just as much grip on this part of the track as there is on the circuit. So you're not going to lose any time, it's just going to widen your exit and you can carry more speed. And then obviously you want to avoid going on the grass after getting on that wide side, that left side of the circuit, my apologies. And then it's basically just a drag race to the line. So yeah, that was an analysis of Lewis Hamilton's lap. His time was a 55.368. We did a 54.876, but like always we want to get into the top 10, so we need to improve our time by about 3/10. Yeah, 3/10, and get a 54.5. We need basically a 54.4 if we want to be inside the top 10. You can see that from 5th to 10th, there's less than a tenth covering those 6 drivers. So if we can get a 54.3, that would be amazing. We would immediately be up into the top 5. So we'll give it a go now. I'm just going to put my gloves on. And yeah. Try and put into practice what we've learnt from the maestro on his lap of the Nürburgring GP circuit. Brake balance, you want to keep it on 0. Maybe if it's your cup of tea, you can try variating a bit during the entire lap. Lewis is really competitive on the circuit. We're not driving too great either. I'm more used to the Group 4 car right now, so I will need a lap or two to adjust. See that just how much time we've gained on Lewis. We were half a second back, and we've actually gone in front and beaten him. So you can see that cut alone.
No way. How did you do that?
I did it with a cut, Lewis, but that cut alone gains you half a second if you time it right. Even more if you can maximize it. I'm missing that corner. Not getting the entry as good as I should be. That was too much of a cut. See right there. That's exactly it. Yeah, 54.6.
How did you do that?
With the penalty. We can definitely get into the top 10. Really nail that exit at all. Yeah, we got disoriented by our ghosts. Too late. See that we actually went too wide, and that's coming out of 2, and that's why we got the penalty. It's probably just fractionally too wide.
No
See
way. How did you do that?
That is a top 10 time. Right there. So we should be 5th in the world at this point. Let's have a look. Oh, we're 7th, okay. So, yeah, we need to improve by about half a tenth to get into the top 5. We can do that. But that was close. That's good. It wasn't too bad of a lap, but I'd say that there's another 2 tenths. So if we could get those 2 tenths, we can jump up to 3rd. If we gain another 10th, we're 4th. So that's great. Oh, that's a cut. Oh no, it isn't. Okay. Oh, it was. So it takes a little bit of time to register that cut. But yeah, don't if you feel like you've cut it, don't quit the lap. Just keep going until you actually get a warning. Oh, that was close.
No way. How did you do that?
That might be 3rd in the world. Could be. But yeah, that wasn't a bad lap at all. Yeah, we just beat Tyrrell Adams, so yeah, we're 3rd in the world. This time we're behind Heaven and we're behind Chonko. Chonko is very fast, always. But we're half a second behind Heaven. I mean, I know he was fast, but like, wow. Yeah, I need to learn something more to get to him. But yeah, we managed to get into the top 10. We're 3rd in the world. That's not a bad lap at all. So we're going to stop it there, I would say. That's enough for now. We're on the podium, so we should be happy with that. So Yeah. That was Nürburgring GP, guys. I hope you got something from it that will help you when you try and beat Lewis's lap time in his time trial challenge on Gran Turismo Sport.
I'll be away for.
I'm gonna be away. Just a heads up, guys. I'm gonna be away for a while now, so you won't be seeing really any videos uploaded by me in the upcoming future. But I'll probably get something out next week. You guys, until then, you can all have a look at the previous videos that I've done for the Lewis Hamilton Time Trial Challenge. I've gone through Brands Hatch, Monza, Willow Springs, what was some others, Suzuka, and now I just did Nürburgring GP. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Practice a lot. And keep your seatbelt on, and yeah, just have a lot of fun in the real driving simulator. Until next time, have a good evening, have a good afternoon, or a good morning, wherever you may be, and driving with the best.